Because how do you sit here and talk about someone being the word coon or a sellout if they decide that they want more conservative values or they see that the Democratic Party is just not the same anymore? But you won't take my story. You a black journalist.
Oh, wow.
You won't take my story. They're stealing black people's property. I can bring you 40 people. I can bring you 40 seniors in here. And they will all tell you the same thing. But you won't take that story. Joanne Reed won't take that story. None of y'all won't take the story, but we're dealing with systematic racism over here in the Republican Party.
Oh, that's some tea. Clock it. Hi, everyone. My name is Uduak Nakenga, host of Connecting People with Policy, where we connect everyday people with policy. Today, we have an amazing guest. I am actually so excited for this conversation. ZOE LEIGH. Round of applause. So, ZOE, for those who may not know you or are familiar with your work, tell me a little bit more about yourself.
Well, my name is ZOE LEIGH. I am a business owner and a daughter of an entrepreneur who left me a building with my godfather, and the city of Chicago unlawfully demolished it. So now I think I'm an activist turned business owner. That's me.
Yeah. So how I actually came about you originally is because I heard your story about everything that's going on within Chicago, as you previously stated, about them pretty much taking away your mother's property. Where is the current situation about that, and how did that even come to play?
In 2017, the city of Chicago Buildings Department demolished the building, and we never received compensation. And my mother took them to court, but they said that it wasn't eminent domain, which is a violation of the Fifth Amendment, because they never took the land. But the city of Chicago government knocked down the building. And you can't knock down a building without compensation. And my mother's fought. It started in 2017. My mother's 75, and she went to the hospital. She couldn't fight anymore, so I decided to move from Atlanta back to Chicago to fight the city.
So who's to blame for that situation? Like, is it Mayor Johnson? Is it like the local officials? Is it the building department officials?
It's the building department officials. The mayor at that time was Ron Manuel, and our alderman. So city council, what they call alderman in D.C., which is David Moore, the 17th Ward. There was 3 options that they could have done, and my mother still has the voicemail from the City of Chicago Law Department. The first thing they told my mother to do was the alderman, which was David Moore, he was supposed to offer us some type of compensation. Every ward gets $1.5 million a year, so they could have offered us $100,000. But he didn't. The second option was for us to file a claim with the city of Chicago because they're self-insured. My mother did that, and of course, and got a police report. They denied the claim, saying that the statute of limitations was up, but it was not. And statute of limitations is 2 years for insurance claims.
Oh, wow.
It was a year. That's insurance fraud. That's a whole nother story. Yeah. The third option was to file a federal lawsuit. My mother filed a lawsuit in the Daly Center. The Daly Center is one of the most corrupt places in Chicago. Chicago just corrupt in general. But the Daly Center is where cases go to die. So they all are together. So that's where state court, there's city cases. But instead, my mother filed it in federal court because they violated the U.S. Constitution. We had an attorney at the time, but
it's like a chain, though.
Huh?
It's like a connected chain, even if you were to have an attorney.
Yeah. My mother had an attorney. And an attorney, we believe, that he sold out. He sold us out. And my mother lost the case. My mother lost the case because the city of Chicago council at the time, he's still there, his name is Bradley Wilson, and still on this case. He put a fraudulent deed in, and he said that we didn't own this property, but we did. And so when the case was dismissed, my mother was like, this can't be right. This can't be right. And I kept telling my mother, I was like, Mom, just let it go. Just move to Atlanta. Just, Chicago is that. And my mother was like, Zoe, they cannot do this.
Yeah.
And my mother went into the hospital. When my mother went to the hospital, I packed all my stuff up in Atlanta and I moved back to DC. We refiled the case the last day of Black History Month in 2023. When we filed the case, we filed it in New York because it was federal. So my mother didn't want to do it in Chicago because Chicago, but they moved it back to Chicago. So once they moved it back to Chicago, I was like, I got to do something to make awareness, show awareness what they're doing. So I started protesting outside of City Hall every day. I just spent 17 weeks out there. And once I did that, there's a man by the name of George Blakemore. He's a good guy too.
Yeah.
You gotta get on here. George Blakemore and Jessica Jackson. They told me, you gotta come inside, talk on the mic. And I'm like, nah, I'm good out here. Da-da. She's like, no, you gotta get in. So I started going inside, going to the committee meetings, and start talking to the mayor, and start, asking the mayor, could he please look into this? The mayor just got in, Brandon. I said, can you please look into this? They're stealing Black people's property. I was like, and, they're ignoring me. There's 50 aldermen.
The mayor has been ignoring you as well?
Yeah, everybody ignoring me, and I'm like, this is just crazy. So this is 2023. So I remember one of the City Hall meetings, this is before everybody started coming down. Now everybody down there.
Yeah, it's going viral.
Yeah,
we see the clips.
I said, I was in Georgia when they flipped that state blue for the first time. I said, if y'all do not settle this case, I said, I'm gonna flip this state red. I said, because they're stealing Black people's property. And I'm not getting no help from the Democratic Party.
Yeah, that's another question that I wanted to ask you, because Chicago, essentially, where you're at, that's blue ran. It's a blue city. So with you wanting to flip it red, is it more so because you feel as if Republicans can handle the city better, or is it more so a reaction because the Democrats, they just let you down? So you're like, y'all let me down, let me just try on this side. Or do you truly believe flipping it red can actually serve the city justice?
Well, now I believe they will serve the city justice. Back then, it was... this is my mother. This is my mother's hometown. I wasn't really into politics, so I didn't care. Whoever got in office, I'm an entrepreneur. I got to do whatever anyway. But to see that this is a blue city, this is a Democratic city, Black people give 90% of their vote to the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And you can't get any help from nobody there. I started and that's another thing. I'm into the U.S. Constitution. A year before, I just sued Delta Airlines for violation of my First Amendment using this Constitution. So when I started this, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go down there because they violated the 5th and 14th Amendment.
Yeah.
And that's it. Wasn't no race, none anything like that. I'm just like the city of Chicago. These they laws. Y'all put these laws together, the government. So I'm like, okay, it's gonna be easy. When I realized that y'all are not upholding the U.S. Constitution, and that's when I was like, no, this is crazy. I'm watching this. So it was more of, I'm getting bad customer service.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go over here to the Republican Party because we've never given the Republicans majority of our vote.
Or a chance, at least.
Or a chance. So when people say well, what is the Republican Party going to do for you? We don't know. Yeah.
Why do you think that they're getting away with it, though? Because that's the part that's really even frustrating for me to see as from outside looking in, because a lot of times within society, there's this conception that, okay, the Democratic Party, they're for the average American. They're for the average person who's working class families and so forth. Now, you being in that position, why do you think they're getting away with it? Because if the roles were reversed, if it was a Republican-led city, we would not hear the end of it. We will be seeing you with Al Sharpton and everybody in their mother. Why do you think they're getting away with that?
The city of Chicago is named one of the most corrupt city on the planet. They are a machine. They're a democratic machine, and no one wants to fight that machine. So they'll say, I mean, they'll be like, look, I can't do it. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people, like, from Black Lives Matter. I mean, they were in group chats with Joy Reid, all of them, about even getting my story out there when this first happened. I'm like, they were like, if your mother files it in a lawsuit, because it went through the papers, like, I'm keeping it 100. Alicia Garza is one of the people from Black Lives Matter. It's a friend of mine. When this first happened, I called her. I said, hey, my mom's in the hospital. I need you to help me look at these papers. I said, because my mother's saying that they violated, they knocked down a building. We have yet to be compensated. My mother's been talking about this for years. Yeah. I said, but she's in the hospital right now, and I need you to look at these papers. I flew back to Atlanta. We went out to eat, and she looked at the papers, and she says, you have a case. She said, but you're going to have to put it in a lawsuit format, or they're going to look at your mother as this crazy old lady. And I said, okay. So that's what we did. I called my godfather to ask him to give me the lowdown, because he was living in the building when they were fixing it up. And this is he migrated from Jackson, Mississippi, him and his brothers. They had this sandpiper lounge since 1962. This is there, and they've had it, it was paid off, everything. Wow. They made him homeless. Made him cash his life insurance policy, all because of them asking for this TIF money, TIF increment financing money. Mm-hmm. This money is supposed to be for blighted areas for our communities. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't know that. The building was in a TIF zone. Mm-hmm. So they already had plans to knock down that building, because they had already took part of my other godfather's land, and a grocery store is on there now, and we have yet to be compensated for that.
The grocery store's on your...
Yeah. It Save a Lot. We have yet to be compensated for that. That's what the city...
Wait, what the heck? Yeah, they can't do that.
Yeah, we know. So the city of Chicago and other blue cities are running illegal eminent domain schemes in disguises of building violations. Now these fires that's going around. Mm-hmm. Delinquent taxes, but it's already paid. Mm-hmm. Illegal foreclosures, all because they want your land, and they prey on seniors, knowing that they don't have
that support system,
or don't know how to do social media now, or any of those things, or they get they're senile or stuff like that. And what they've done is they have taken their houses, taken their properties. Will either give them a Section 8 voucher, or go put them in public housing, or put them in nursing homes.
Wow. Okay, so I wanted to ask for your opinion, because even right now in this current scope, we see the shift within the different parties. A lot of people from the Democratic Party, whether we want to admit it or not, they're leaving. They're going more independent. They're going more right. What do you think is missing within that party that's driving people out? Because we see things like this and we're like, yo, y'all are not, it's giving kind of performative. They're saying one thing but doing different things behind closed doors. So where do you think that the detachment is?
The Democratic Party has turned into a social club. I don't know if you're familiar with, I call it Soho House. Oh. Yeah, they've turned into they're socialites. Mm-hmm. The blacks, I'm talking about the black leadership that we have over there. There's no moderation anymore. And then you're dealing with a socialist agenda that snuck in there in 2019. And it hasn't been the same since. Okay.
So would you say...
And that's why a lot of people are leaving that I know of, because it's no moderation anymore. It's not moderate. It's extreme left. Mm-hmm. They're going to push you to accept the LGBTQ. They're going to push you to accept that trans women can play sports. They're going to force you that our kids are going to have to learn about LGBTQ. And if you don't, then they're going to make you feel guilty and try to say that you are homophobic, or you're not. No, people don't you can't have no opinion. If you're not with that agenda, if you're not with the agenda that they on, then they are going to try to hurt you in any type of way, financially, shadow ban you, blacklist you. They, back in the day it was a conspiracy theory. theory. It's not no conspiracy theories. This is being televised. This is being streamed. Everybody's seeing this. Everybody's watching this. You can't sit here and say it's a conspiracy theory. It's not conspiracy theory. Yeah. The Democratic Party is cosplay. The Democratic Party they're anti-American. They have a vendetta over America. They're pissed, and you have these gatekeepers who are in leadership, and we're supposed to be heroes in our community, and they're not. That's why our communities still look the way they look.
The problem that I see within like the current scope of the Democratic Party is that I feel like it's such a small number of people who are pushing those agendas, but they're just the loudest ones in the room. Because even as we previously spoke, with a lot of these public seat holders within the Democratic Party, they'll tell you behind closed doors, they do not believe in what's considered gender affirming care. They do not believe in these things, but they're in a position to where they have to fake it till they make it, or they have to play a role. And that's where like that disconnect is, or where people lose respect for the Democratic Party or have been losing respect. I wanted to ask you something with the current scope of the Republican Party, because there's some Black people who can say in the same argument that, okay, I don't feel included in their messaging. I don't feel included in the policies that they're trying to push. So how would you navigate those conversations?
A lot of people always ask me that. I'm one of those people that I'm super independent, and I do my own thing. If these people, and when I say these people, when it comes to these politicians, if y'all are not upholding the U.S. Constitution, I don't care what you are. But I do know with the Republican Party, as racist as they can be very racist, they uphold that U.S. Constitution. And that's the law is the law. And that's what I'm on. And that's the only thing that I see. Overall, when I first started this fight, I wasn't for neither one of these people. You know, I was, let's boycott. Why are we spending our dollar? We are the Bank of America. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We are the culture. It wouldn't be no America for us. You know, that's what I was trying to tell people, like, we don't need neither one. Until they find a Black agenda for us, until they find some legislation for us that's going to uphold, we don't need neither party. However, people scared. Yeah. So it was like one of the things like, okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going, game on. Dick Gregory always say, I used to manage Dick Gregory from 2013 to 2017 till he passed away. And he used to always say, like, it's a game, you know? And then when I would ask him certain questions about, like, maybe stuff when it comes to, like, white beef, in the political realm and stuff, he would say stuff like, that's white folks' business. And I had to learn that and say, yeah, it is. And some of that stuff that don't have nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? But I do know that the Democratic Party has too many Black people in position for us to not get no help. Yeah. I've never had an issue with the Republican Party ever, and even when I've had to speak to Republicans or talk to Republicans, they've never did. Like, even now, they're helping me. But they're more, I will say, like, sorry to interrupt, but I will say, as we previously spoke, like, with the Republican Party, they're way more, from personal experience, more transparent. They'll tell you straightforward if I can help you with this or if I'm not, like, with this. Like, I think that's what makes it easier to work with them sometimes, as opposed to Democrats selling you a false hope. Yeah. For example, when we see, like, the state of California, they had a state reparations bill with Governor Newsom. And it's like, fell flat right in front of their faces. So I will agree. And the Black Caucus, like, the Black Caucus down there, like, y'all just let it. Y'all, like, they're gatekeepers. Like, we're dealing with gatekeeping. We're dealing with gatekeeping in the Democratic Party until, and we have no public servants. We have no public servants. We have no one that represents us. It's everybody, like, in the city of Chicago, everybody in a political position has their real estate license or a part of some type of realtor group. How? That's a conflict of interest. That's why we don't have no property. That's why, you understand? Like, it's a money grab, and it's been a money grab for a long time. Like, That's why we don't have no generational wealth.
Yes.
When it comes to real estate.
So do you see this as a systematic issue or an internal issue? Because, for example, even with the last campaign with VP Harris, her campaign raised, I think it was up to $1 billion, if I'm not... $1.5 billion. If you can imagine, if Black people came together and raised $1.5 billion, the amount of assets that we can actually own. So do you see it as a systematic problem or an internal problem within our community that we're...
Internal problem in our community, because racism is going to be there. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can go home, I can have a conversation with my partner. My partner could be white, and we could be making millions and millions of dollars, right? Mm-hmm. And he could be going home and talking about Black people like to his family like a dog. I can be going home talking about, man, white people get them, they just do this. But at the end of the day, when it comes to business or when it comes to making sure America, if you are in these political positions, making sure that America is safe, America is financially thriving, homelessness should not be like the way that it is. If you're out there being a public servant, it shouldn't matter about racism. So it's an eternal thing, because it's one of them things like, not the best way to say it.
I think it's mentally too.
Oh yeah, it's definitely mental. It's definitely mental. Stockholm syndrome.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Stockholm syndrome.
Yes.
But you're dealing with the Democratic Party turned like these are groupies. Mm-hmm. Like these people like Jasmine Crockett, for instance. She just argued. She just tried to make the trans argument the same as the Black struggle. Mm-hmm. Is that what I'm saying? Like, Jasmine Crockett, what did you talking about? That doesn't even go together. You understand? But I'm gonna be loud. I'm gonna bring up racism. That's the thing that the Democratic Party does a lot too with Black women. Black women will start talking about there's racism. Nah, y'all are gatekeepers. Nah, y'all are the mean girls. Y'all are the ones who hold these brunches and these empowerment brunches and want people to pay $200 and $300 to sit there and eat shrimp and grits with you, and then afterwards you have nothing, no advice or nothing to tell them, and then you've got these people who are brainwashed on social media and stuff is like, well, I just want to be there, and they'll pay and not learn nothing just to get a picture. When at the end of the day, why? Like why? They're not representing us. They're making sure their pockets are good. They're making sure that they're good. They don't even live in the hood. They don't even go in the hood. Mm-hmm. They don't even see what's going on. Our kids in Chicago, we lost 2,000 Black kids in school to illegals, children that go in there. We're like, we are losing everything, and you have these black officials in Congress who aren't saying anything, and they're not going to say anything because they're bought. Mm-hmm. They're paid and bought, and they can't say anything. And if you don't tell them, let me tell you, I go in on every one of them on X, every one of them on social media. Roland Martin, all of them. Because how do you sit here and talk about someone being the word coon or a sellout if they decide that they want more conservative values or they see that the Democratic Party is just not the same anymore? But you won't take my story. You a Black journalist.
Oh, wow.
You won't take my story. They're stealing Black people's property. I can bring you 40 people. I can bring you 40 seniors in here. And they will all tell you the same thing. But you won't take that story. Joanne Reed won't take that story. None of y'all won't take the story. But we're dealing with systematic racism over here in the Republican Party.
Oh, that's some tea. Clock it. That's some tea. I wanted to ask you, because you got to meet Border Czar Tom Homan.
Yes.
How did that go?
Oh, it was good. The illegal immigration thing, I'm not like, it is what it is with that. Danny, she wanted Tom Homan. So it was good meeting him. He said he's coming. I just saw something the other day. Was it yesterday? that they're starting mass deportations in Chicago. So
Is that something you're for?
Yeah, I'm for mass deportations in our community. Like they're all in South Side.
Can you talk more about like the reality of what you're seeing in Chicago and like the stuff that's going on in regards to like they're considering it a migrant crisis. That's what they call it. But like, what is it actually like? What's
a Ponzi scheme, a legal immigration scheme. The city of Chicago. I remember 2023 when the federal government gave Chicago. Well, they were offering $52 million. And I remember saying that if I was the mayor, I would have never agreed to that. And the reason why I would never agree to that, because that's not enough money. It was 20,000 illegal immigrants that were there already. At that time, we were living in Streeterville. Streeterville is not too far from Magnificent Mile. Magnificent Mile is where like all the stores, Louis Vuitton, that's touristy. Ohio in Streeterville, there's a migrant shelter. Now, these are about $1 million homes. They're $1 million condos. But you have prostitution. You've got Modelo bottles everywhere. You got kids running around barefoot, all this stuff. And you have a mayor who just said, okay, we're going to $52 million. $52 million did not do anything. But the reason why is because they thought that the federal government was going to keep sending money. But that didn't happen. They thought they were going to do it like how they do in Ukraine, how they do in Israel. So y'all dealing with $52 million from federal funding. Now you're starting to steal money from different other departments in the city, trying to figure out how to deal with this migrant crisis because you have no affordable housing that they argue about down there all the time. Y'all talk, the Democratic Party will speak about all this affordable housing, how they're going to
California is going through that right now.
Yeah, and it's a money laundering tactic. That's why the homeless rate for these Democratic cities are all in place because there's no affordable housing. So what they thought was they were going to put the illegals in our communities on the South Side and West Side, specifically the South Side, and displace us. There was over 3 or 4 mass illegal evictions. And no one talked about it. They literally evicted people out of their homes to make sure that they could place these illegals because they had no place to put them. But they also thought that Kamala was going to win. So they didn't have to worry about anything, and they were going to continue this money laundering tactic that they've been doing. And what happened was the crime went up.
New York reported on something similar to that.
Yeah, the crime went up. Wow. There's an executive order that was signed in 2021 when Mayor Lightfoot was in office that you cannot arrest them. So they're committing all these crimes and being let back out. But let us commit a crime. You understand? We gonna have a record, all that stuff. They don't speak English. The translators that they had, the CPS school teachers that I know, they don't even have money for translators. So they're getting the lunch lady to come out and try to teach the kids because it was all in the name of stealing money. I call them the Hispanic KKK. The new Democrat Socialists that's in there, the Democratic Socialists of America, DSA. That's the way of a website. They are, the Hispanic ones are the Hispanic, I call them the Hispanic KKK. They came in there for an agenda that was anti-American. They knew that they couldn't, these people weren't going to get arrested. We got the cartel, we got fentanyl, we've got human trafficking, sex trafficking, and nobody can't get locked up.
But is that, because some people may hear what you're saying now and say, oh, those are talking points. Okay. Because like, is that an actual reality that you know people who are going through that and that's like their reality? Or is it just one of those things where it's like, oh, Fox News is running these stories, fentanyl's coming in and so forth?
No, fentanyl is like to the point that they got vending machines for Narcan. Like it's all over. Yeah, like the fentanyl problem happened during COVID because when everybody was shut down, And a lot of people relapse. A lot of people went relapse, started doing drugs and stuff. They sold so much drugs during COVID that when, like, instead of, like, maybe just say they make $3 million, the cartel make $3 million a week, they probably was making $25 million a week because everybody was in the house, you know what I'm saying? Especially the blue cities were in the house. So once the pure cocaine and the pure crack and stuff like that, they had to cut it with something. And it was gone. So they went to China and started getting this fentanyl. And the fentanyl, these people aren't pharmacists. So they're not cutting it right and they're not weighing it right. So if you can look this up, if you go back in 2021, there were so many people that OD'd. DMX OD'd.
Yeah.
The guy from The Wire, Michael, can't think of his name, but Michael, the wife who played Omar on The Wire, they had the same dealer. And they had he got arrested. There was 5 comedians, I'm in the comedy world, 5 comedians in LA. They all OD'd. 4 died. 1 was in the hospital for like 6 months. It was an OD crisis. And it was like, it reminds you of the crack epidemic in the 80s and 90s. Only thing this time, our generation, I'm a millennial, a lot of Gen X, a lot of Gen
People are getting locked up for crack.
But this time, we were aware that we weren't going to do it. Like, I don't have any friends that do drugs, barely smoke weed. You know what I'm saying? That crack epidemic really messed up a lot of people.
Yeah.
It didn't mess up my family, but it messed up a lot of black people. So a lot of kids didn't like, nah, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do anything. So that fentanyl came in, and who's on it heavy is not us. And so the next thing was displacing us that Dr. Claude Anderson was talking about for the last 40 years. He told us about this. Now, mind you, I was 2.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But he told us that this was going to happen. But we don't have any leadership. We don't have, where was Jesse Jackson? Where was Al Sharpton?
Yeah.
Where was Maxine Waters? Where were these people at that were supposed to protect us? You supposed to stand up. When that 93 crime bill with Clinton and Biden happened, they should have been stood up on that. So we didn't have that. So now, fast forward to 2023. Well, now I'm in it. It's what's the fight? And the fight for me is economically, it's not making any sense.
Yeah.
I could talk about racism, but it's not racism. This is straight gatekeeping, and this is, like one of my friends say, it's politics.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the results of the election? Because I know, obviously, Chicago flipping red and everything. So how do you feel with Trump's administration coming in and transitioning and so forth?
I'm happy. I feel like.
Are you genuinely happy, or is it one of those like?
No, I'm genuinely happy. Like because like I said, I look at it as game on. I look at it as y'all ain't never about to play black people.
So what do you feel like that, I think the main thing that I'm missing, because as an independent, as we previously spoke, I'm someone who is the type of person where you ask me about a policy and I'll just tell you how I feel. I'm not someone that's like, oh, I'm right or I'm left. So what do you feel like the Republicans can offer you that the Democrats can't?
A sit down, and I know they will.
That's true.
Yeah, I know they will. And
Ice Cube spoke about that.
Yeah.
Ice Cube, he spoke about that he reached out to both parties, and I think it was Trump's administration that actually had a talk with him.
Yeah, Trump already sent us a holiday card. He signed a picture of me going off on Brandon Johnson on Fox News. They know, they're very aware of who we are. They sent Tom Homan. We got to meet with Tom Homan. Tom Homan is starting in Chicago Tuesday, my goal is to sit down, because we need legislation. We need legislation when it comes to our housing, and we need We need a department. I want something called the Freedmen Department, which is what we were called when we out of Emancipation Proclamation. That's what the slaves were called once they were freed. The freedmen, and that's the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. That's our amendment, and so we need our own department. We have a Freedom Bureau. Bank that is in the government, in the federal government, and Kamala Harris was trying to put everybody in the Freedmen Bureau. Nah, that's our bureau. That came from the descendants of slaves. So, and, you know, people get mad at Trump, they can say whatever, but Trump was the only president that acknowledged that Black Americans built this country. He said African Americans built this country. I don't say that we're African, I'm free and Black American. But he said that. And at the end of the day, that's true. But he's the only president that acknowledged that. Also, I'm for the states, like people are talking about the Roe versus Wade. I think what he did was great. I think that it should have went to the states. Also, him abolishing education. Yes, the Department of Education. Yes. What does the federal department? I'm trying to tell you, the federal department. They got too many departments, and we're paying too many people for us not to get any help. When I learned that this was just BS, the Democratic Party was BS, I started on the federal level because my mother's always told me to go to the top. So the first person I went to was Joe Biden's chief of staff. Didn't get any answer. Then I went to Kamala Harris, chief of staff. No answer. Then I went to the Department of Justice, Merrick Garland, Christian Clark. No answer. Then I went to Michael Horowitz, that's the federal inspector general. No answer. Wow. Then I went to the state level, Susan Haley, no level inspector general. Then I went to the city inspector general, Deborah Witzberg. No. The attorney general, Kwame Raoul. We do not know where he's at. Where are you, Kwame? We don't know.
Hashtag Fight Kwame.
Yeah, hashtag Kwame. Where's Kwame? We don't know. Went to him, no answer. Went to the mayor, new mayor, no answer. Went to my alderman. He don't even talk to us. He got me banned until April 14th right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we have, because I confronted him, because he's selling out our community to these rich developers. But you won't talk to my family about working on getting some grants or some TIF money or make it right. At least make it right, because we have the land, but you refuse to even talk to us. So I went to all the 50 aldermen in there. I call them the disgraced 50.
Oh, wow.
They don't do anything. So it was like, okay, I'm flipping it red. That was my thing. I went to everybody. Even after the Breakfast Club, Charlamagne hooked me up with her people because, you know, the DNC was in Chicago. I sat with her people. I gave her 3 things. I gave her the Freedmen Department. I gave her the issue with my housing and all the evidence and everything to show what they're doing is wrong. And I gave her legislation when it comes to housing. Nothing. I went to DNC and everything. I was a VIP in there. I was the only thing that had my Make Chicago Great Again hat on.
So hearing everything that's going on and all your strategizing, and you've been from the top to the bottom talking to whoever can listen, like, what would you advise, especially like someone within Gen Z, like what would you advise us to do to make sure like those who come after us doesn't have to go through what we're going through, for example, or what you're going through?
You got to get into politics. Y'all have to start, even if it's like finding a creative way to get into it, but y'all have to get into politics. Y'all have to fight for term limits. But y'all have to get into politics. And I advise you guys to have your own businesses, because if y'all have your own businesses on the side, because these politicians, this part-time job, and a lot of the Democrats are the real welfare recipients. That's another reason why I rock with the Republican Party, because a lot of them have their businesses, CEOs, they have their stuff on the side. You have to have a business on the side. That's going to make your money. It's great that you're getting, first of all, it's an incentive that you're getting paid to be a public servant. So that little money should be for maybe your campaigning and stuff like that, and get more literature out here. But if you are getting into politics, Democrat, Republican, whatever you want, y'all got to have your own business, because these people, that's why they sell themselves out, because they ain't got nothing else over here. If you had your own business and it was making money, which is gonna make money because you're a politician, you're a public figure now.
Yeah. So with wrapping up, like what's next for you? Like what can people look forward to with following you and your journey and everything that's going on?
Well, 25, 26 is Operation Get these aldermen, and we got the governor's seat coming up, the Cook County board president seat, Mayor Johnson's seat.
Are you running for mayor?
If I will, I will. I will if they don't settle my mother's case. I always said that. I said I come from I even put my paperwork in to run for president last year, and I was not playing. Like I was like, as an independent, like we need that White House. Mm-hmm. So the goal, honestly, is that I feel for Gen Z and Gen Alpha is an independent party. Mm-hmm. 2028. We have more than enough time now. So underground meetings. Stop doing everything text. Meet up. Talk, get y'all vision boards, write out what y'all need to do. Y'all should be having an independent candidate that y'all are putting y'all money behind. Black Republicans should have a Black Republican candidate and not, a lot of them that I don't rock with, but a new Black independent candidate that's not scared to talk about reparations too, because that's a problem too that I'm learning, that they're scared to talk about what we're owed. We have yet to get our reparations. We have yet to get our reparations. So my thing is, for us not to have our reparations, the red carpet should be rolled out for us when we are trying to get grants, when we are trying to get anything for our communities. And the fact that y'all aren't doing that, and then the illegal immigration scam comes and the Biden administration funds it, $400 billion right in our face, that was an insult. And that is what everybody needs to understand and remember. We control this. This is our tax dollar.
Power in our money.
Yeah, the power in our money. If we're not being heard, yes, hold our dollar. Amazon should not be making as much. You know what I'm saying? And we can do this. And we can do it in the comfort of our home.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Zoe, for coming through. Yeah. Where can people find you at?
Mr. Steal Your Wig. Mr.
Steal Your Wig.
MrSteal YOURWIG1. MrStealYOURWIG1. And then Zoe Leigh. ZOE LEIGH.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy. I really love this conversation. Thank you all for tuning in. This is Uduak, connecting people with policy. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on those post notifications so you're notified whenever we post a new video. God bless y'all. I love y'all. Toodles.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.